So, what do conservatives mean by racism doesn't exist? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So, the black community has a lot of problems, and problems that I have basically I highlighted pretty much. I pretty much highlight all the problems to try to shed light on them so that we can try to rectify the problems. Now, one of the problems that I would say the biggest problem that's certainly at the top of the list is that for some reason the black community loves for people to tell them the beautiful lies, and they hate the people that tell them the uncomfortable truths. That's a sign of a victim. That's a sure sign of victimhood. And it's also a very feminine trait, which is a perfect example of how the black community has been basically patriarchal led since the 1960s. But anyway, one of the people that you often see conservatives, that you often see criticized, because conservatives are the ones that are telling black people those uncomfortable truths. And this is why conservatives are so hated. But one of the conservatives that they really hate is Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens, again, just tells black people these uncomfortable truths that they just simply don't want to hear because they just want to be perpetual victims. Now, one of the things that she said that really draws the ire of the black community is, you've heard us say in the past that racism doesn't exist. And if you listen to enough conservatives long enough, if you watch old videos of conservatives, you hear them say that racism doesn't exist. Hell, even I've probably said that racism doesn't exist, and may still slip up time and time again to say that racism doesn't exist. Now, does racism exist though? Well, of course it does. Okay, according to the meaning of racism, I'm talking about both the real meaning and the revised meaning, it exists. If we search America long enough, we can find some area in society where racism exists based on both meanings. So yes, racism does exist. Now you may ask, well, if racism exists, then how can conservatives say that racism doesn't exist? Well, the reason why is because you have to understand what we mean by racism doesn't exist. When you ever hear any conservative person say or have said that racism doesn't exist, what we mean is that systemic racism doesn't exist. That there's some overarching system in America that's holding black people down. There's a system that's stopping the black person from achieving things that they want to. The truth of the matter is, there's absolutely nothing in America that a black person cannot achieve in this country. There's no job, there's no income, there's no lifestyle, there's no occupation, there's no field of study that a black person today cannot go in because of the color of their skin. There's nothing holding black people down. There is no system. Matter of fact, the only system that's holding black people down is systematic black victimhood, right? Systematic black inferiority, and this exists merely in black people's heads. So it's not even real. It's imaginary. But there is no system coming from the government that's holding or stopping a black person from achieving anything. And this is what black conservatives in general is alike. But black conservatives are the ones who get attacked more. If you are a white person and you say that racism doesn't exist, they'll call you racist. That's their go-to knee-jerk reaction. And if you're a black person that have said racism doesn't exist, well, they come with all the names, a coon, Uncle Tom, sellout, Oreo, all that nonsense. And in the case of a female, they're a Negro bed wench. But the reality is, when we say that racism doesn't exist, what we mean is that there is no systemic racism holding any black person down, and there's no evidence to show that there is any systemic racism holding any black person down. Anyway, y'all, if you ever hear Any conservative person say that racism doesn't exist, now you know what we mean. We just simply mean that there is no systemic racism. There's no law that anybody can point to and say that this is holding black people back, other than black people's behavior within that system. But anyway, y'all, that's my 2 cents on this. If you ever hear any conservative person say racism doesn't exist, well, now you know, and knowing it's half the battle. And as always, y'all, and until next time.